All right, everybody, what's going on? How's it going out there? It's an active crowd. We're going to have a good time. This is going to be a great deal. So, welcome out to the 2024 Hurricane Preparedness Forum. I'm glad we're able to get everybody out this evening. I know we had some conflicting events. There's some graduations going on. So before I start, I wanted to congratulate those individuals that are graduating. And we're recording this event so they can watch it afterward. But good to have you all out. I'd like to start with a prayer, and I've got my friend, Janet's sister. She's going to come up and lead us in prayer. You guys can stand, you can sit, whatever you want to do. Janet, come on up, brother.
Good evening. Let's take a nice communal breath. Kind of settle in. Is that better? Good evening. My name is Janet Sisler. Creator of all, ruler of the universe, who speaks this evening and all evenings into being. Let us pray for the healing of our community and our nation. God, to grace each one of us with equal measure of your love. Bless our efforts tonight in this community forum and guide us to be present with each other, mindful of our purpose. May we work together to establish peaceful and just communities of tolerance and to build places of belonging. May our hearts and our minds be focused on the needs of our community and to build a place for each and every one to share their gifts. May the spirit of love and hope warm our hearts for this journey ahead. May our homes, our community, and our nation become havens of peace. We ask for wisdom for our leaders and inspiration for each of us to work together that we might all know harmony. Let us not live by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Let us walk together with a good heart, joining hands to face our futures together. May it be so. Amen.
Thank you, Jen. I appreciate it. Rowdy Hayden, where are you, man? You're going to lead us in the pledge. Come on. Our Precinct 4 Constable, Rowdy Hayden. There's an imaginary flag behind us. Don't make a pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have a real Texas flag right here. So. Honor the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to these nations. One state, under God, one and indivisible. All right. All right, thanks a bunch. Everybody have a seat. Okay. I was trying to figure out how I wanted to start this thing and what I wanted to start talking about and how I wanted to lead into this. But really, I think what I need to do is just jump in. Way back in 2006, we had Hurricane Rita. And when Rita hit, my wife and I made no preparations. We didn't do anything. And so we lost power for 2 weeks. We lost everything in our freezers, refrigerators. We didn't have any cash for gas. I mean, life really, really sucked. And after about a week of that, I was done. I said, well, this is never, ever going to happen to me again. I'm going to learn everything that I could learn about preparation. And so when Ike came a couple of years later, virtually unaffected. I mean, we had a generator for the house. We had stored water. We had food. We had stored gas. We had gas money. We had it all. And I was thinking about the individuals that hadn't prepared at that time. and I thought to myself, there's got to be a way that I can work something out. So if I ever get in a position to be able to do it, I'm going to do it. So given the voice I've been given in this community, here I am. So we're going to do it. Before we have our speakers come up, I wanted to talk about the reason why we're here and what really made us, gave me the availability to do this thing, and that's our sponsors. So without the sponsors, there's no way this thing would have happened. So first of all, East Montgomery County Improvement District, those guys are here for this community. Doesn't matter what it is. If it's good for the community, they're the first ones to step up. The Atrium Center, same thing. Montgomery County Emergency Operations Center. Half of these preparedness buckets came from those guys, and they were willing to help and make one phone call, and that's all it took. Entergy. Without them, I'd be powerless. See what I'm doing? So Entergy came through, and they gave us a lot of the items that go inside. The East County Fire Department as well, and that's also ESD 7. Home Depot came through, one of the big box stores. They were easy to deal with, and they supplied a bunch of the buckets and lids and some other goodies. Lone Star Groundwater Conservation District. Now these are the guys, when you turn on the tap, the reason why water comes out is a lot because of these guys. They helped us out and gave us a decent donation so we could get a lot of the door prizes that we have that are great. Buster Brown Propane. Without them, I wouldn't be cooking or anything. And those guys are great and always a community help. No matter what this community needs, Buster Brown is one of the companies that they step forward quick. FD Tactics. Need a t-shirt, hat? Call me. I'll get you in touch with FD. Porter Family Dentistry. Now this is another company that's willing to help no matter what. Archie's Food Basket, and of course, Service Master Restorer. Service Master is a well-known company. They do a lot for us out here in the community. So, before I call up Matt Gray, because he's going to be our first speaker, I want to start giving away some stuff. Y'all want to get some stuff? All right, Mark, why don't you grab them tickets now? Let's call a couple of them out. So we got some great door prizes, everything from power stations on up. Pull your tickets out and go ahead, baby. Oh, by the way, Mark did make it. He got a jump on his car, but he was able to make it here.
Everybody hear me? All right. How many are we going to do?
I don't know. It's up to you.
All right. We got about 90 here. Let's do them all in a row. Let's knock these right out. So I need a youngster to come up here and take one of these things.
Yeah. How about a volunteer? We got a
No, I got a no right now.
Okay. So it looks like the first thing up is a cell phone battery pack.
Tell them all about it.
So you charge these things, and then they hold the charge, and then when the power goes out, you can use it to charge up your cell phone or whatever else you may want to charge up. Go ahead.
Okay. I need a volunteer to pick a ticket out. All the little bitties are too scared to do it. How about little bitties dead? Come on.
All right. Stephen Wood is calling out a number.
Oh, it's mine.
Let's go. I'm running out of hands.
I don't see it. I can't read it.
We're crying. All right. First one is 679053.
679053. Who's got it?
Somebody's got it.
Huh? Up top. All right.
I'm not running it over to you.
Walk it over to you.
Okay. It's a pretty cool little deal. The charger cord. Thanks, sir. We got a good song. You're ready for all the shenanigans up here. All right. Want to do another one?
Yeah, let's do that one. Why not?
Oh, we got it.
Hurry down.
Okay. One more. I'll just pick it.
I'll pick it.
No, we can't pick it. David, come here and pick this.
He doesn't trust me with my own tickets.
No. All right. Next ticket, 679033.
All right.
says they're scripted it out. So, good luck, man.
You want to introduce our first speaker?
Not really.
Okay. Well,
You always give me some wild name. It's never a Smith or a Jones. It's Garfunkel.
no, it's just-
Oh, that guy. I think I can read that. Precinct 4 Commissioner Matt Gray. Come on up here, would you?
So Matt's going to come up and talk to us about a little bit about before, during, and after a storm and what goes on with Precinct 4. Come on up. Good to see everybody. Y'all hear me okay? All right. Commissioner Matt Gray. And with the lineup Hank has, I'm going to try to stay in my lane about what goes on during a hurricane, before a hurricane, and how we handle it. So with that being said, I'll kind of go into what happens with the proactive. And the proactive is what we're doing now before the storm hits. So we've taken a very aggressive approach to drainage. With that being said, we can work on and fix drainage, but we can't fix flooding. So when you get crazy amounts of rain like that, you know, crazy things happen. So we're working from the 59 corridor, working back, and we've taken a very aggressive approach. We're working with the OEM, the Office of Emergency Management. We've got grants that we've applied for that we're waiting to hit. Excuse me. And I can't wait for them to hit, which would ultimately work on the D-Snag, Beach Creek, Caney Creek, the West Fork, and the East Fork, and White Oak Creek that runs right through here, which would help with a lot of the backup we see, would help with a lot of the debris that we get over on the flow down to Lake Houston, ultimately the water backing up, you know, sometimes in the homes or businesses and the issues we have over the roads. So that's some of the proactive approaches we're taking. Other proactive approaches are the ones that you don't see, the intangibles. I've been at the tip of the spear on rewriting regulations for the county. We've got long-standing regulations for development, long-standing regulations for the drainage. As back as to the early 80s. I've been working very closely with engineering and developers to find something that's fair, that's in the middle, and that helps solve some of the problems that we're having with the water and with the extreme growth we're having out here, not only in East Montgomery County, but in Montgomery County as a whole. So that's the proactive piece. Let's talk about the reactive piece. What happens, what's the county doing when the hurricane hits? Well, we're going to be in charge of barricading the roads. We take the reports, we go drop the arms. We've got barricade trailers that we run and we operate throughout our precinct. When we get water over the roads, we've got a rapport and reporting those back and forth between Precinct 4 and Conroe. And we've got emails and social media that is flying out. We've got a team that's on the clock. Usually 24 hours, we're working with the ESDs and Porter, New Caney, Splendora fire departments. On this last one, we were stationed at a command center over at the Porter Fire Department, where we also teamed up with the school districts, the constables department. Thank you, Rowdy, and your team. And we handled dispatch out of there. Another big issues we see are trees with the high winds. The ground gets extra soggy when you get that much rain at one time. The trees fall, and so that's our primary role. So we've got all of our chains sharpened, chainsaws ready, trucks fueled up. We bring in extra. If it's something we can predict or, you know, forecast a week out or whatever, when we're monitoring the Gulf, we can bring in, you know, a tanker of fuel. That way we're not, because everybody comes to our facility to fuel up. So we don't, last thing you want to do is run out of gas when the power's out or there's an issue. So we've got a COOP plan, continuity of operations. That's one of the first things I did when I took office. Make sure that we wrote that, got that published, so we're all operating and singing off the same sheet of music. That's very important in a leadership role, especially when you get life safety or life critical safety situations like this. And, you know, like I say, the reactive piece,
that's reacting. You got trees down, we got power lines down. The best thing to do is, it's no pun intended, try to stay cool. Because usually it's going to happen during the summer months. It's extremely hot, it's extremely uncomfortable. I hate to even say the word mosquito right now, but the mosquitoes are bad. And it's a challenge for everybody. But I can assure you, all the ESDs, all the law enforcement, all your county employees, including myself, we're putting in long hours. It's not a Monday through Friday, and we clock out at 3 or 4, on during the weekday. It's Saturdays, Sundays, it's nights, and very early mornings. So we want to get everything back up and running. So with that being said, I will also give you some Matt's pointers, not just what we do. And some of those, just from living around here for a long time and going through a bunch of storms, and where I grew up getting flooded in, where you couldn't leave for a few days in between the river and between the creek. Fill your bathtubs up with water, stake down your propane tanks, make sure you got propane, make sure you got gas. Some of that stuff may sound like common sense to a lot of us folks, or a lot of you folks that have been through a bunch of storms or lived out here for a long time, but it doesn't hurt to reiterate it. So I don't know whose thunder I stole with that, but I wasn't going to not say it. So y'all got to find something else. But that's it in a nutshell. Roads, we want to keep the roads open, and if water's over the roads and it's unsafe, we want to close the roads. If you got water over the roads, please don't try to pass through it. We see people, or a lot of very near misses with people almost drowned in water. You lose track of where the road is and run off. Not only that, here's another practical piece that is extremely painful for me, and it's joyriders. Let's try not to take little trips around the neighborhoods to check out the subdivisions, because a lot of times you get people that are being irresponsible. They're going, there's already people that are trying to deal with the damage or issues, and then pushes wakes up in the homes that causes damage, where water gets close or gets up to the garage or to the front door, and all it takes is that truck or car pushing that water and pushing those waves through. So let's be mindful, let's be good neighbors, let's prepare. Hurricane season starts in officially about 8 or 9 days. So, let's be ready. We just took some very heavy rains. I know we had homes here in Precinct 4 that had damage, but overall the precinct fared well with the amount of water that was released out of the Lake Conroe, out of the dam. And there was a whole lot of water that received up north. I don't know how many people know it, a lot or not a lot, but the San Jacinto River Authority put out a very good visual about the East Fork and the West Fork. It's not the same river. And the East Fork kind of comes and catches all the runoff, and the West Fork comes out of Lake Conroe. You probably saw that floating around on Facebook or online, but that's an interesting piece of information to have, especially living in here. That's the boundaries of our precinct, essentially. And all the water in the county next down through Precinct 4, ultimately going down to Lake Houston. So that's why we're so vigilant and so serious about the drainage here. But I'm going to go ahead and open up for questions. Don't ask me about mosquitoes, please.
What is the best, way of getting communication through the time of hurricanes? Is it Facebook? Do you guys have your own personal website?
Speak up a little, please.
Where are we going to hear the communication through you guys? Is it Facebook? Is it a website? Or the website?
So we've got a website. A lot of people nowadays work off of Facebook, so we get a lot of correspondence through there. A lot of people call the office. We've got a very committed staff, along with myself. We carry our phones home, the office phones that they forward to the house. We take those calls, and we've got dispatch. We had a lot of learning. I'll be up front, but we had a lot of learnings during the storm as well. We had our on-call guys, and you know, we're going back to rewrite the policy. Instead of having just the on-call guys when you have a storm, we're going to have an on-call crew and run a skeleton crew where it's not, you know, a couple guys bearing the entire burden. So we had our own learnings as well. But yeah, website, computer, calls, all great channels. One thing I didn't mention, and I'd like to go ahead and say before, or if anyone else has any questions, is don't freak out. Don't panic. If a hurricane's coming, there's not much you can do to change weather. You've got guys, very popular guys, who run weather channels and Facebook pages that are very respected meteorologists, and I'm reading it and I'm just getting sick looking at it, and they're just, it's what I call a panic merchant. Oh, all these homes are going to flood for sure. There's inevitable flooding. Well, they were wrong on a bunch of it in a lot of the areas they said. It makes me kind of fight mad. So just, I would say that don't freak out. Don't go buy all the toilet paper. Prepare up front. Have your batteries. Have some fuel. And let's get through this thing together. We're here to help. And any other questions?
Matt, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
After a storm, who's responsible for clearing trees out of the roads and stuff like that? So usually there's a lot of debris, big trees down.
Yep.
So who's responsible for that in precinct 4?
Yep, that's us. So I touched on that. So when trees go down, like I said, the ground gets soft. Y'all put the call in to us. We keep the saws sharp. Trucks are fueled up. We'll go cut them, clear them, and we change out the buckets on our Great-Alls. The Great-Alls are the big ditch digging machines. We have 6 of them. We load the guys up. We get the grapples and we go pick them up and clear them out and get it opened back up.
Cool, thanks.
Yep. So, all right. Well, it's not easy being in 3 places at one time. So Hank was so generous as to let me go first. And when I get out of here, I'm headed to baseball. I'm the all-star coach. So I'm dad too, along with commissioner. Yes, ma'am. You had a question?
I did. I was just going to ask if we anticipate that there's an issue with, like, a neighbor might have a ditch blocked or something. How do we know whether it's under your purview or whether it's the neighbor? So, because we can kind of anticipate that the water isn't going to flow, or we saw that there was an issue with flooding that, you know, might get worse over a hurricane.
That's a great question, and it's a great opportunity to be proactive. If y'all see something, you see culverts that aren't cleared or that are, you know, smaller than the rest of them, it's a good opportunity to call in, put in a service request. We'll go look at it. I'm glad you asked that because I got into the hurricane piece of it. But yes, the county owns the right-of-way on the side of the roads. I manage 1,000 miles of road in Montgomery County, which ultimately is 2,000 miles of open ditch. I've got 2 Great-All teams, which 4 that work on a drainage crew, and we average about 6,500 linear feet a week of how much we dig. And we do our very best to get the ditches dug and to keep it running. We operate off schedule and plan. So with that also being said, let's be good stewards and good owners of the ditches and the waterways and the easements in front of your home. Don't go burning in your ditches. If you got a plastic culvert, don't go throw all your leaves and your branches in there that block it up and backs the water up into somebody else's home or up in the neighborhood on an issue like that causes choke points. So, you know, it's not always fun sitting up here preaching accountability and responsibility, but I would encourage you and urge you to be accountable and be responsible for your property and be a good neighbor. If you got an elderly neighbor or someone that's unable to do it, they're out of town, please be a good steward and help them out doing that. Let's get the water out of here. It's no secret that we live in a basin down here in Precinct 4, so let's keep the water moving. God bless y'all.
I want to give away some stuff. So we got Mark credit stuff. Good deal. So we got a crank up radio. It's also a cell phone charger, and then another charger pack. Got the tickets here. All right. All right. First up.
We have an emergency crank radio. I love these
AM,
things.
FM weather.
Great for the deerlies, and when your house turns into a deerlies from a storm, right?
That's it.
So for the emergency crank radio, let's do it. Can you pick one of those, please?
Nice, man.
Thank you.
Nice.
You want to read the number?
Does somebody come with it to crank it?
Yeah, absolutely.
67932.
All right.
What was it?
What was that number?
679032.
67903. We have a winner.
Thank you, sir.
All right, next up is another one of these little compact cell phone chargers. I love these things, by the way. They're cool. Like you can come them in the truck. Come on, Mark. Find somebody.
Find somebody. You got a volunteer? There's a volunteer right over here. Good. She did not peek while she was picking that up. Read it.
679041.
679041. Look at that. Come on up.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me see. We did Matt Gray. So next up, we had Charlie Martin, Porter Fire Department. Charlie, where are you? And I think Charlie's going to give us a presentation on basic preparedness, correct?
Correct.
All right. Come on, what's your business?
Like I said, my name's Charlie Martin. I'm the Assistant Fire Chief down the street here at Porter Fire Department. And we have a slideshow to go with this. Make it a little bit easier. So, I'm here to talk to you about being prepared. You're probably wondering, why is the fire department come asking me to be prepared? And the idea is I don't want to have to see you during the storm. I don't want your lack of preparedness to cause you to have a bad day. And a bad day means I have to, or somebody on my staff has to come out and help you and get you through what's already a bad event in itself. I've heard a couple people talk about different hurricanes. When I was a kid, I lived on the Gulf Coast. I filled up my bathtub. Commissioner Gray already talked about that. Sorry. Anyway, my first one as a fireman was Hurricane Alicia in 1983. And what I learned there was that we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have computers, we didn't have any advanced warning like we have today. And people were doing things that got themselves into trouble. So what did they do? I don't have a working battery, so I'd go out and turn my car on in the garage and listen to the radio while the carbon monoxide filled up the garage and caused them to pass out. Those are the things I want to see happen to any of y'all. So hurricane season is here. And are you ready? And the next slide. If you see any of this, it's too late. We're already talking about the storm. This means that your time has come and gone, because the next thing you're going to notice is you're going to go to the store, and that's what it's going to look like. So we want you to prepare. And we're going to talk about some of the things you can get. I know for my household, we prepare in the spring. We get everything that we're going to need. I live in a very wooded neighborhood, so trees fall. A lot of debris on the ground. And I know that on my street of 16 houses, which about 7 of them have people older than me, we're all going to get together and get out and clean up as a group. And so I carry an extra can of chainsaw fuel. I have extra garbage bags. I have some small twine to tie up all my stuff for large trash pickup to come later and hopefully pick it up within a few weeks. But the thing is, you need to have some sort of kit. And I keep a shelf in the garage, but if you get a kit and you make a plan and then stay informed, you'll be more ready. Then the next thing you need to do is determine what is your risk. So I live not too far from the San Jacinto River. I know the elevation of my house. Fortunately, it's never flooded, but it's gotten to the end of my street. So I need to know what my risk is. I need to know that if they tell me the waterway close to my house, and I live at almost a full mile from the river, when the river's coming up to a certain elevation, how's that going to affect me at my home? I need to know what wind's going to do around my house. So getting prepared is, Alicia was a wind event. Ike was a wind event. Was to get everything outside loose in the garage, tied down or secured, so it didn't cause damage or injury to somebody. So you need to have 3 to 5 days of supplies. If it's a storm where they can pre-stage and get equipment down here, usually within 3 days you'll see help start to show up. But it's better to be prepared for 5, because if you're a little off the beaten path and there's a lot of trees between you and the main road, it may take a while for people to get to you. Not only is the commissioner going to have crews out clearing roads, the fire department does that also. We try to coincide and work together. If it's a small tree, we can get it with our small saws. Big stuff we leave to the professionals. You want to have a gallon of water per person per day. You want some non-perishable food. And it never fails. If you get that in the spring, you keep it all summer. In the fall, when the kids come around doing their food drives, you've got something to give to them. Have a first aid kit. Make sure you have your toiletries. You need to make sure you have extra medicine and that any refills that are about to expire are taken care of ahead of time. My mother just had me go out and get batteries for her weather radio and make sure she had a working flashlight. She's 86. She still does it every year. And then make sure you have some cash on hand, because the ATMs will be down. Stores will be limited. I think the Katrina, this Kroger was the closest Kroger in this whole area at the time that was open. They were only taking cash, and they're only taking about 10 customers at a time. So have your patience and have some small bills. Don't forget about your pets. So one of the things that I would say is have a way to transport your pet. So if you have to evacuate, make sure you have a crate. So like I said, I live down by the river. We bought people out in boats. The church next to my house was a lily pad, a staging area to get people out in the boats. We were using the church bus to take people to shelters, and then volunteers with pickup trucks to transport families with animals, because we couldn't carry them on the buses. So have a cage, have a way to transport your pets, because carrying them loose will only go so far. Make sure you have some IDs with your pets and whatever food or bowls you might need. I talked about some medicine. That's my next slide. Generators. I'm going to tell you what Mrs. Martin told me after 30 years of marriage. She said, if you're going to go to one more command post that has hot coffee, power, and a refrigerator, leave me in the dark, we're getting a divorce. So I found out who was selling generators, and I bought one. And this last power outage, she is the happiest wife on my street. So get a generator, know what it can and cannot do. I still had to tell her we could only run a couple of appliances at a time. We couldn't turn on all the lights. And we did a little generator education at the house. What I want you to know is to be safe with that generator. So I responded to a tornado here this last summer, and people were trying to be friendly. You know, a generator was given to a family, and a generator blew up. So I go to have a talk with the responding fire personnel, and I said, what can you tell me about the generator fire? And he said, well, if your third cousin removed gives you a surplus generator from World War I and has adapted 4 times the fuel cell, it might blow up. So what I'm getting at is prepare ahead of time, have that generator plan ahead of time, because rigging something in the dark, you're going to get in trouble. You get in trouble, you're going to call the fire department. And we're going to have to come talk to you about, hey man, no, you're already having a bad week. How can we help you get it better already? Some of the things I want to talk about generator safety is they all have exhaust. People put them in their garages because they think they can go into them and not have to go outside. Well, carbon monoxide builds up. They put them near an open window because the air is off, exhaust starts coming in, everybody starts getting sick. Make sure that you have it ventilated, you have a carbon monoxide battery detector if you're going to have it close to the house. Don't keep it near your pets. And service it. Test it before the season starts. And then, my last one. Any questions? All right, I like that. That means I covered everything. Perfect. All right, y'all just want to win more prizes and get more tickets in house. I know how this goes. Thank y'all for having me.
What we got, Hank?
More prizes, man. What do you think? So I got a $25 gift card to Academy. So you can go buy something to put in your hurricane preparedness kit. So we're going to need a number. Yeah, I was talking about wind events. You know, when I eat at some of these Mexican restaurants around here, I could be declared a wind event, that's for sure.
Okay, the next number is 679054.
679054. You have reached.
Is there? Okay.
Cool.
I'll bring it too. Did you read her for What we got?
All right, we got another battery pack for the cell phone charger. Come on.
Those things. There you go.
Six, 679016.
679016. Oh,
I'm going once. Going twice.
wow.
Pick another one.
Going can?
3 times. Can they hear us in the restroom?
I don't know.
I got a feeling. Maybe. Pick another one.
I guess so. I just feel really bad for the person. Maybe we should form a search party.
Good practice for August when the hurricane gets. I will put this in my pocket.
All right.
And we'll read it again later. All right?
All right, sounds good.
All right.
I need the Porter Fire Department guy again because he took my program.
He's out.
679048.
679048. 8.
$6, 7, 9, 0, 4, 8. Anybody? Wow.
That's 2 strikeouts.
Nobody wants it.
Aha, there we go. Okay. 2 in a row?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Don't play. Somebody's got that.
If that was a bottle of tequila, we'd have 4 winners up there. Should we go for lucky number 3?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll put this in my
And
pocket.
this still isn't my program.
We're going to have a different show then, right?
Yeah, I still don't have my program. This is good.
All right.
That's back right, guys.
It's up to you. Put this to rest.
679065.
See it louder?
9065.
679065.
Right.
Unbelievable. We have them there. This is it.
All right.
I have it.
That goes good.
All right.
Small but powerful. Kind of like it.
So the next guy we have coming up, this is really a good dude. And he's Jason Millsaps with Montgomery County Emergency Operations Center. If y'all aren't familiar with what's going on with the EOC, this is the guy that's going to tell you about it. And if you ever get a chance to make it to Conroe and check that place out, y'all still do tours, right? Absolutely. All right. Jason Millsaps, everybody, put your hands together.
having me out. This is not the first time I've come out here at Hank's invitation to give this presentation. Unfortunately, I was here a couple of weeks ago, right before our flood event, giving a similar presentation in this room. So let's knock on wood, not have another flood event. So I'm the Director of Emergency Management and Homeland Security for the county. I also serve as Judge Keogh's Chief of Staff. And I've been in this role since 2020, but I've been with the judge a little over 11 years now. Because the TVs are small, I won't make you read the fine print. In the role of OEM, we are looking for, we're planning for, preparing for, mitigating against natural, man-made, technological threats. We're going to talk more about the man-made, or excuse me, the natural tonight, but we do plan for the man-made stuff, you know, the active shooter attacks, the things that are human caused, industrial accidents, things like that. And of course, we are concerned about cyber attacks and threats. But on the natural side, Montgomery County is, unfortunately, we're prepared for this. We've been through these natural events, you know, flood events, hurricanes, tornadic activity, all these things happen. They can happen on a drop of a hat. You never really know. Sometimes the weatherman is right, sometimes he's wrong. My joke is it's the only job you can be 100% wrong 100% of the time and still get paid. So, I have a fairly big office in the county. This is our org chart. The judge is our director of operations, essentially. He's the county judge. I serve underneath him. On the OEM side of things, we have several employees, both federally funded and locally funded, to do nothing but planning, preparedness, mitigation, recovery efforts. On the right side of the org chart is our active shooter training facility. It's right here in your backyard in New Caney, right on FN 1485. It's the state's funded active shooter training facility. We're host to that here in Montgomery County. Go back one. These are kind of a synopsis of the types of events and things that we work on here in the county. Large fires, wildfire type stuff, mass casualty incidents, the pandemic, flood mitigation, hazardous material response. We have a number of things that OEM does throughout the year. We're here before, during, and after a storm. You'll see a lot of information come out from our office before a storm. We talk to the National Weather Service on an hourly basis when we're under threat of severe weather. We push that information out. We have the Alert MCTX system, and we have Facebook, other social media. The judge is real good about that as well, pushing out weather alerts as they come in. During the storm, we activate the EOC, which is our county's emergency operations center. It's staffed 24/7 during an incident. A couple weeks ago, when the flooding started, we were activated at level 1, which means every agency in the county has a seat at the table inside the EOC, and we're actively working as a collective team to mitigate damage, property, loss of life, and help with the response. And then after the storm, we're in the recovery phase. So right now, we're in recovery mode. My office is coordinating the debris removal, and we're also coordinating flood recovery for those that were damaged. So we're getting the assistance that they need, whether they had flood insurance or not, into their home to try to help them out and recover from it. And as of this afternoon, I got us approved for mosquito spraying from the state. So that should be kicking in sometime next week. Commissioner Graham, wish he was here, he didn't have that news. The commissioner left before he got to learn that. So you can stop asking him about mosquitoes and call my office and bug us. We're working with the state to get that done, and they have approved our request for aerial spraying. So as soon as we get a date on that, I'll push that information out to your commissioner, and of course push it out on our social media so you know, especially those of you that are into beekeeping, you'll want to know that information because that will affect your hives. These are our 4 mission areas in the preparedness, response, recovery, and mitigation. Depending on what we're doing at the time, we're in those areas. I'm going to skip through a couple of slides fast because it's not necessarily related to hurricanes. And I want to make sure we spend more time on hurricane preparedness, the reason why we're here. Skip through a couple of them here. All right, response division. So in the event that your fire departments, your law enforcement guys, we're very blessed in Montgomery County. We have some of the best first responding agencies in the state, in the country. But they will sometimes need additional assets in the field. We operate on a spoke system, essentially. So you heard the commissioner mention we had an East Montgomery County Emergency Operations Center during the storm. Something that we've developed in emergency management in the last few months was dividing the county into response districts, disaster districts, so to speak. East Montgomery County is notorious for doing this already on their own because they're kind of so far from Conroe So for the longest time, your fire departments and your constable's office have worked together collectively to solve the problem locally and use the resources as a collective whole. Watching that model work so well for East County, we're adopting it countywide. This last flood event 2 weeks ago, we put that plan into play, and all the area of the county worked under a disaster district model. It worked very well. I had firemen, I had law enforcement officers tell us this is the first time they've ever been able to coordinate on scene with each other in a long time, and they were working very well together on this. So unfortunately, we got to test it out in real world and not plan and train for it first, but it works, and we're going to continue to do that. But should they get overwhelmed and need resources in the field, they'll notify the Emergency Operations Center in Conroe of their resource needs, and we'll either bring that from another disaster district in the county over to the area that needs it, or we'll send the request up to the state and fill that request for resources. This is a picture of the EOC in Conroe. It has 36 seats, so we fill that room up fairly quickly when we're at a level 1 activation. And again, at level 1, we're activated 24/7. So there are people there all day, all night. They're highly trained in their field. Picture in front of you is a training exercise. So the gentleman sitting closest to you in the picture is one of our fire marshals. He's also our bomb squad and hazardous response teams. But he's sitting at a desk that says airport. So he's having to fill a role that's not normally his in this training drill because we cross-train everybody in there to work different areas of the EOC. As the commissioner said, and you guys are very lucky, Commissioner Gray, before he even took office, and before he has to leave, Commissioner-elect Rich Wheeler's in the back. He's representing Precinct 3, which is South Montgomery County. He takes office in January, is in the room as well. Commissioner Gray immediately reached out after winning his primary and said, hey, flooding is going to be an issue, and I want to address it. What can we do? So before he even took office, he was working with our office, writing grants, and working with us to secure funding for mitigation projects. Some of that he talked about earlier, the snagging projects in our creeks and streams were already in motion, and he came in and kind of spearheaded that and got those done. The sad news of all that is it's federal funded, and anything federally funded takes years and years to get done. So while it's in motion, just be patient, because it's the federal government does not move as fast as county government does, nor as fast as your commissioner would like it moved. But it's not because we're slow, it's because they have a lot of paperwork involved in this stuff. But another thing we do in the office very well here in Montgomery County is we buy out homes that are flood losses. These are severe and repetitive flood loss homes. As they become commonly flooded, if they're eligible for a buyout, we'll apply a federal grant to that homeowner and buy them out, tear that house down, and remove it, essentially, return the property back to vacant land. So we're not sending the fire guys and these law enforcement guys out in the middle of the night to pluck them out of the house when it floods again. So the more we can do that, the less we have putting first responders at risk, while at the same time keeping homeowners from losing property over and over again. One of the worst cases that I saw in this program, we had a lady not too far from here flood 33 times before she finally raised the flag and said, please buy me out. And the sad part is to maintain your status to be eligible, you have to obtain and maintain flood insurance. So every year she's filing a flood claim and having to rebuild her home until she finally had enough of it. So if you're in that situation and you're not familiar with the program, reach out to our office and we'll put you in touch with our recovery specialists in the office to see if you're eligible. And if you are, get you on the list, because those are also federally funded. They take time. And I have 9 right now on the list. I have about 300 that flooded in January and flooded again 2 weeks ago. So we're trying to rush those through so they don't have to rebuild yet again before we can put them back on the list. So the 2024 hurricane season is expected to be a rough hurricane season. You've been seeing some slides between speakers on there. 23 expected storms this year, 7 of them major. Why is that? The Atlantic Basin is extremely hot right now. The water temp is hotter than it's been since 2005. If you're familiar with 2005, that was the year Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Rita, and I believe we had one more that year that was really bad. And so we urge preparedness now. You're seeing the folks down in Houston. We didn't have to have a hurricane, and the folks down in Houston are still without power tonight. There's several hundred people without power, several thousand, excuse me. It doesn't take much to knock power out, especially most of our utility systems are above ground. Even with thousands of linemen moving into the area to assist that, it takes time. And so for, as Hank said during Ike, I believe he said, or Rita, you were out without 2 weeks. That's a standard average in a hurricane type situation. So preparing not only for food, water, medicine, pet supplies, and alternative living arrangements, if necessary, for those 2 weeks is something you need to build into your plan. I think someone jokingly said they also need to put beer and cigarettes in your plan. Because, as the commissioner said, you don't want to be driving out in the middle of the storm worried about the small things. Because we've got better things to do than go pluck you out of your car because you fell in the ditch on your way to get a pack of smokes. So whatever it is that you use in those 2 weeks, prepare for it, plan for it. As the chief had said earlier, build a plan, make a plan, stay informed. I'll tell you about staying informed here in a second. If you're not already signed up for the weather alert system from the county, it's a good one. Someone asked that question, how can you get those alerts? The weather alert system is one of them. Another one is Facebook or Twitter. National Weather Service maintains a very good Twitter alert system. They give alerts for flood, for warnings or watches almost instantaneously through their Twitter page. Judge Keogh at OEM pushes that out automatically from their service, so there's less than a 45-second delay from when those warnings or watches are issued before it's pushed out on our social media. Another one here, I'll give you some information. Right here. This one here, Scan Me. This is a brand new hurricane guide put out by the National Weather Service here in Houston. Dan Riley, our meteorologist that partners with Montgomery County from the Weather Service, put this out. It's about 39 pages, so it's a long read, but there's voluminous amount of information in there, not only preparedness, but storm information, how to track them, where to go get real weather alerts, so you're not worried about the Facebook meteorologist who says, one of the speakers said, there to hype it up. And I ask, when you get this information, share reliable information. If it's not coming from your commissioner, your county judge, one of these guys from the water district, somebody in an elected position or a trusted source, don't share it. Even if it sounds good or sounds bad, please don't share that. False rumors in a storm make things very bad for people. It panics folks, they go do stupid stuff, panic buy, a number of things happen in that. So rely on reliable information from trusted sources and share reliable information from trusted sources. Other than that, hopefully, as someone asked me or mentioned to me earlier this evening, we're doing a great job. Well, we're doing a great job because we're busy and we're active. I'd rather not have to be in uniform and out working. I'd rather be doing my chief of staff job and not worrying about emergency management. But unfortunately, since I took this role, we've had a disaster at least 3 times a year, and we've been very active having to prepare and mitigate against future disasters. And it's not something that I take lightly. We have a great staff, a great county full of resources, and I thoroughly enjoy what we do and that we get to serve our community. And with that, I'll take some questions. You guys are a quiet bunch tonight. Do I need to draw tickets to get your attention? Well, great. I'll be around if those are the shy ones want to ask questions. Yeah, go Jim.
Where is the county EOC located?
I'll give you a quick, so I'll do a little pat on the back, Greg. So good question. The EOC is over by the airport in Conroe. It's a large facility. It also, besides serving as our emergency command center for the county, also serves as the central hub for all things radio traffic in the area. So Harris County, Fort Bend County, Montgomery County, all of our regional counties, their radio traffic goes through our building. Additionally, if you're in the air flying, all aviation radio traffic in the entire southeast United States goes through our building. So it's a fairly large facility. We got a lot of technological stuff in there. In addition to that, we're the only county in the state that has our own emergency warehouse that's stockpiled. Like, we have a really large stockpile over by the Lone Star Conservation District and the Improvement District, in the Industrial District, in Conroe. We have a 78,000 square foot warehouse. Hank got to go the other day when he picked up buckets. I don't know if you got to take a tour or not. It was very busy. You took your own tour. So at the time Hank came over, we had 125 strike team leaders from other states in the country there basing out of that facility because they had no hotel, no home while they're here working and helping rescue citizens. So it turned into a base camp for those guys, and the Red Cross moved in and served, and they're using the warehouse as a regional hub for distribution of supplies. in addition to what we already carry there. So it's a fully functional warehouse, air-conditioned, stocked from floor to ceiling, bigger than a Costco, and we call that our Costco for emergency management. With that warehouse, we can run a disaster in the county for about 2 weeks before I have to raise the flag and ask for help from the state. So it allows us to be very self-reliant. Working with Commissioner Gray right now, we're trying to build additional warehouses in the community, in the various precincts, to make sure that the main hub supplies the smaller ones, so the stuff is already in the area before the storm, so we don't have to worry about the floodwaters or the wind getting supplies out to East County or to West County. North is where my warehouse is, and south is about 10 minutes away, so we can feed those fairly quickly, but east and west take about 40 to 45 minutes on a good day, not to mention a storm day. So we're working with some of that federal COVID money that we have to kind of build us up for the next storm, using it for preparedness. So great question, Jim. Thank you. Well, good to see you, sir. So, any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Is there a spot where we can locate this PowerPoint if we want to look at it at home?
I can put it up. I don't have a spot for it right now because I travel around with it, but I can certainly put it online and get that information to Hank, and he can push it out. So it'll have those slides on there for you. Yeah. Any others? All right, like I said, I'll stick around until afterwards in case somebody who's shy wants to ask a question, but otherwise, you guys have a great evening.
I want to give away some stuff. All right, Mark, you got the ticket bucket and all that kind of stuff?
I'm ready, man.
All right, so this time you're going to grab a ticket that actually has a person attached to it?
I'll work on it.
All right. All right, so we're going to start with a $25 gift card for Home Depot. Home Depot. There you go. 4 screws and a nail. A big nail.
I'll do it. Okay, we've got 679068.
68, last two, 68. We must have some faulty tickets. Brother, stand up, come on, be excited. All right, come on.
There you go.
All right, and next we're going to do another one of these hand crank radios.
Love
These
this.
are actually really cool. Emergency crank radio.
All right, man.
679070.
70. Come on.
I actually wanted this.
There you go. If I wanted something, I would lose it. Ah! All right, so how come I don't get anything? This is weird. Yeah. So I've got another one of these battery packs. Come on, Mark, let's call out another name.
There you go, buddy. Make it a good one.
679043.
043.
Bingo.
There you go. Come on. All right, so we got one more. Now these, I'm gonna keep this. These are the portable power stations. Are y'all familiar with these? So you plug the thing in, you charge it up. Then if the power goes out, you can plug in a TV, coffee maker, whatever. It's actually got 110 and it's got a whole bunch of USBs and everything else. These things are awesome. All right.
You gotta charge those up, then keep them away from your kids.
Exactly. So now, the next person that wins this thing, you got to give me some excitement here, man. So go ahead.
There you go, man. Only one. You get two. Thank you very much. 679051.
5. Who is it? There you go. Come on. All right. Yeah, let me pick that. All right. Okay. So next up is a great friend of mine. This guy is also a good musician. He can sing, he can dance, he can write music, and he's the guy that takes care of our power grid. He's one of the guys, many, at Energy. I'd like to introduce my good friend, Brian Garcia. Come on, Brian.
Did anybody else have walk-up music? What is this? At first, it was like, oh, he's talking about me, he's a musician, he's like, he can sing, he can dance. I'm like, okay, maybe it's somebody else here, because I ain't dancing. That doesn't happen. But yes, my name is Brian Garcia. I work for Entergy. I'm a customer service manager here in the area, and it is true, I am a good friend of Hank Batts. I'm proud to say so. But I would like to talk to you guys a little bit about hurricane preparedness. Now, I will go ahead from the get-go and first of all echo what everyone else has said, that a lot of really good information has been shared tonight, and it's all completely valid. And if that's already been covered and it's in here, I might just kind of gloss over it because you guys don't need to hear it again probably. But just real quick to tell you all a little bit about Entergy Texas, and if you are one of our customers, you may know some of this already, but we are a regulated utility here in Texas. And what does that mean? That means we have a certificated area designated by the Public Utility Commission of Texas to serve our customers there. But that to us is much more than just we've got customers in a house. It means being part of a community. And that's something that we're very proud of. Hey, do you need me to stand somewhere? I was going to mosey around here.
Stand up.
Stand up.
No, you're good.
I don't know if I can help you there either, man.
If you want to walk, you're fine. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm a professional.
But, you know, we have over 500,000 customers in Texas, and that's something we're proud of because I think a year ago, that number would have been under 500,000. That is how fast we are growing now in our footprint. We have so many people coming to this area. And if Entergy plays some small part in that, we are very proud of it because we are so glad to see our communities grow. And these are just some stats about that, but we do truly feel like we are part of the communities that we work in, and we hope that comes through in the way that we run our business. Being in this community, I live 20 minutes over there. Hurricanes are a part of our life. I grew up in New Orleans. I am a child of Katrina. I have grown up with hurricanes. I understand. And it's just part of the reality of living in this wonderful part of the country. And so we prepare. We do what we need to do to continue to be successful. But the fact of the matter is, regardless of how you feel about the concept of climate change, the fact of the matter is that there have been a lot of storms recently, but there have been a lot of really strong storms lately. And this is just one statistic. In the last 50 years, 9 Category 4 or 5 storms have hit the mainland, and 6 of those have been in the last 5 years. So if you're looking at a graph, you know, it's down here, and then all of a sudden, the last 5 years, we're getting a lot more stronger storms. So, you know, and those are all, there are names up there. I don't think this laser pointer will hit the screen anyway, but those are names that you know: Ida, Laura, Michael, Harvey. One of my very first storms when I was with Entergy and running kind of a department was Harvey, and it was a baptism by fire. And you guys understand what that was like. I mean, it was 18-hour days for us, bringing in thousands of linemen to get things going again. But that's what it means to restore power, and we do it gladly. And this, I feel like, goes without saying, the bigger the storm, the longer it takes to restore power. And these numbers, we have done way better than this in some cases. Like, I've seen some Category 1s and 2s that we've gotten everybody back home within a few days, and that's awesome. But as a general rule of thumb, like if you look at Katrina, that was a Category 4, I think, actually. We'll go back there. Katrina was maybe not even a 4 when it hit. Anyway, But that was a big one, and that one took months because of all the damage. So it really, this is a general rule of thumb. It is not by any means like a hard and fast thing, right? So I think it stands to reason that the worse a storm is, the longer it's going to take. We've made a lot of investments over the entirety of our company's career, but our history, but this is something that we're always looking into. When we talk about our capital outlay, how much money we're investing in keeping your grid strong, it's not in the billions, but in the tens of billions of dollars when you add it all up. And that's important because that is how you accommodate all the growth that is in this area. You know, it's not like you can just drop a bunch of people on the grid the way it exists. You've got to grow the grid along with the population, and that's what we do. There's also an element of hardening, and what does that mean? So if you look at the power lines up in Michigan versus down in South Florida, they're going to look very different, and that's because the weather that they experience there is completely different. You know, and you know, what are they experiencing down in South Florida? Big tropical storms, hurricanes all the time. Up in Michigan, what are they experiencing? It's snow. And ice. So the way they build it is completely different. We are starting to build our grid more like South Florida. And not to say that we weren't building it to withstand hurricanes, but we're building it now to withstand stronger hurricanes. And so that when we talk about hardening, that's what it's about. A lot of the work that we do is just about reliability, making our grid more resilient, making it easier to get people back on more quickly. But then this element of hardening is really important. It's also known as resiliency as well. It makes the grid overall more resilient. So this, I'm going to breeze through real quick. This is just how the electric system works. It's really boring, but it's going to be important in just 1 second. If you look at the far left hand of the picture, you see a power plant, right? Or turbines, or solar panels, or a dam, whatever you have. There's something generating electricity. Here in Texas, more than 70% of it is generated by natural gas power plants, right? That's what we're still building. The one we just built in Montgomery County a few years back, that was natural gas. The one we're building over in Orange County, that's natural gas. The one that we actually just got approved by the Public Utility Commission, that's just going to be up the road here outside of Cleveland, that's going to be natural gas. It's dispatchable, it's cheap, it's clean. It's what makes sense. But whatever it is, it creates power, it goes through the big transmission lines, it goes to our substation, then it goes through the distribution lines that you see in your neighborhood, and then from your transformer to your meter to your house. Okay, why did Brian tell me that? It's important, I promise. So, first of all, I want to talk to y'all about restoration. How do we do it? It is not like a willy-nilly process where we like open up the books like, okay, well, Hank lives over here, so we're going to get him on first, and well, you know, Brian lives over here where we don't like him, we're going to get him on last. That's not how it works at all. But first thing we do, whenever the storm hits, even before it hits, we look at, okay, how much damage is there going to be? We think it's going to be up here, down here, and then we have models that we run. It's like, okay, given how big this storm is going to be, we should probably bring in 100, 500, 5,000 linemen, whatever that means. And we will actually try and stage them before the storm hits, so that when the smoke clears, when the rain stops, we can send them out right away. The first step is assessment. We send our folks out and they look at what has happened, what is the damage, and they create just a series of tickets of jobs that need to be done. And it's obviously in the thousands when you're talking about a big storm. Once everything's assessed, now thinking about the power grid and where does it all start? What was the first thing that you have at this end of it? What is it? There's a power plant, right? If that's not working, does any of the other stuff work? No. So the first thing we focus on is the power plant. We make sure our power plants are up. Then after that's up, then what do we have to get up? The transmission lines that move the power, and then the substations, and then the distribution lines. And so, I mean, again, there's a methodology to making sure that the grid comes back up in a way that's safe as well. Because if we were to turn all the transmission stuff on before we knew that the power plants were ready, you could have some serious fireworks that nobody wants to see. And so safety is always, I can promise you guys, whenever we have our big restoration events, safety is always the first thing in the front of our minds, because that's what we've seen. That is the most dangerous time for our guys to be out there working. And so that has got to be the first consideration. So once we start looking at distribution lines, then it becomes kind of a numbers game. Okay, if I can connect this line and get 10 people on, or this line and get 1,000 people on, which line do you think I should connect first? This guy, right? That's how we look at it. What is going to get the most number of people on most quickly? We like to think it's logical. That's how we look at it. And you know what? I skipped a spot. I'm already at 7. Once the distribution system is steady, then we look at essential services. Fire, the police department, water. Those are the things that we look at first, and then we start kind of the number stuff and getting as many people on as quickly. Then you look at neighborhoods, and then it's individual homes, and we call it kind of the grind. That part of the restoration is a grind, because, try as you might get 4 people on here, 5 people on there, 1 person on there. Now, we're going to do that work, we're going to do it all eventually, but we've got to be smart about what we focus our efforts on. But that's how restoration works. Does that make sense? Are there any questions about that before I move away from our methodology? Okay, good. So hazards when this is going on, and a lot of this has to do with electricity, but there's a few things in here as well that we just threw in. Obviously, downlines. If you see a downline, it's not your job to determine if it's communications line or if it's ours. Leave it alone. It is not safe. And again, this is the most unsafe time to be around electricity, is right after a storm, because you've got trees falling, you've got water everywhere, which is a conductor. If you see a line down, stay away from it. If you have a generator, again, it was mentioned the carbon monoxide that is the exhaust that comes out of your generator. Be aware of that. Make sure it's hooked up correctly, because if you don't hook it up correctly, it can backfeed onto our lines and electrocute our guys. That happens just about every storm. We have some kind of an issue with somebody's generator not being hooked up correctly. Gas, obviously we don't sell gas here, but we always tell people, if you smell something, make sure you call, I think out here at Centerpoint, make sure you find out what you can do to get them out and take care of it. Flooding. Who here has dealt with flooding recently? I feel like the last 2 weeks, it's funny, it's not funny, it's not funny at all. Every year, Entergy does what's called a storm drill, where we get in a room and we say, okay, let's all make believe there's a category 5 coming up. What are we going to do? We run through our processes. Well, in the last month, we haven't really had to do a storm drill. We've had huge storms to run. One was, and to me it was fascinating because they were very different storms, right? The first one was definitely more of a wind event. We had trees down more of a flooding event, and then the one that just happened was more of a wind event. And so we kind of got to try and flex our muscles a little bit with both scenarios. And so that's something that we work on a lot. So again, flooding, and this idea of returning home, and this is something that was covered earlier, when you're coming back, just keep your head on a swivel, be aware of what your trees are doing, where your lines are, what you're walking into, because it's a treacherous time. It's 90 degrees outside, but believe it or not, sometimes ice forms, and that can be deadly as well. So again, when we talk about ice storms, we've gone through some of that in the last few years as well. That's just other things to consider. This, again, everyone that has gotten up here has talked about it, and it's so important. Make your plan, work your plan. Talk with your family. Every single year, my wife and I sit down, okay, what are we going to do? And for us, it's, okay, category 3 or above. My wife takes the kids, they go up to my cousins in Dallas. I stay here, I work the storm, and that's our plan. That's what we do, it works. Obviously, everybody has to make their own decision, but think about these things before you get into the situation so that when it occurs, you're not thinking, well, what am I going to do? You already know. Make the decision now. And like I see these buckets, that's part of having your plan, right? Do you have the water? Do you have the food? All those things. So if we can just add one more amen, hallelujah to that, make a plan, work your plan. That's what's going to save the day 9 times out of 10. It's always super important to let us know about outages. And this is not just for hurricanes, this is like your day-to-day outages. I'm glad people are getting their phones out. Our mobile app, we have put so many resources into it to make it as useful as possible. Our mobile app, I'm really proud of right now. If you scan that code, it'll take you right to it in your app store. But the My Entergy app, you can do so much from it. You can pay your bill. You can look at your usage over time, and you can say, oh, wow, I've been using more here, less there. Make decisions that way. You can report outages like it says right here. The app is super useful. Highly encourage folks to look at it. But whenever there's an outage, again, like I said, whenever it is, doesn't have to be a huge storm, let us know about it. Don't take for granted, oh, somebody called Entergy, I'm sure they know. Don't assume that. Always let us know. We've tried to make it as easy as possible. You can go onto the app, you can text us, go online to My Energy, or you can just give us a call, 1-800-ENERGY. Any one of those things gets you just as quick, get your outage reported just as quickly. But the app is fantastic. So part of the app is also our outage map, which I think is also really helpful. You can go on that and you see exactly what's out. You can click on your neighborhood and see what the restoration time is going to be. And this right here is a map of our entire Entergy footprint. Again, we're in Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas. But you can see the Texas stuff is all great because we never have outages here, right? Maybe not. But the outage map is super helpful. Go onto the app so you have that as well. Again, staying informed throughout the storm. We are always, our storm center is again something we put a lot of resources into. You can get to it through the app, online. We're always posting stuff on social media. But we like to share everything that we got with you guys so you can make the decisions you need to for your family as quickly as possible. And this is something that has really unfortunately become a lot more prevalent that we've seen whenever big storms roll through. The scammers really come out to play in an unfortunate way. So we are never going to call you and be like, hey, you've got to give me a gift card to pay your bill. I mean, that's just not how it works. We send you a letter, we send you the email that we always send you. That's the only way you communicate. That's just how it is. So please be aware of scammers. Again, during storms, we've seen a huge uptick because people are emotional, they're vulnerable, they're making rash decisions. Stop, think about it, don't fall into a trap. We are only going to contact you the way we have always contacted you. Be aware of that. One last thing, if I can add to what the good fire chief said. I'm going to be really honest with you guys. Recently, I've had opportunities to go work in other parts of Entergy's territory. And I've turned those down because I love this community so much. I really do. And it's because there's so many good people here that take care of each other. During a storm, he was talking about how they go out as like their neighborhood and they take care of each other. Guys, this is what makes this part of the country such a great place to build a family, to build your business, whatever it is. Keep doing that. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, take care of your families, take care of your communities. You know, and if Entergy can play some role in that, we are always going to try and do that. Because again, we don't just live in these communities. We don't just work in these communities. We live in these communities, and we believe in that. So again, be smart, live safe all day, every day. Thank you. Any questions? Ma'am.
Why do we not have underground lines since our power goes out from the wind?
You do have underground lines.
Where?
No, but whoever wanted to pay for them got them.
What does that mean?
So,
Not in East Montgomery County.
it depends on your neighborhood. No, and I don't say that flippantly, but it's like to build a power line costs X number of dollars. To put it underground is X times about 8. It's a lot more expensive to build lines underground. So whoever is willing to pay that, we absolutely do it.
But
So
you don't have to keep repairing them.
well, they don't always all go down, do they? I mean, well, we can agree to disagree on that one. But no, a lot of the new developments that are being built, they absolutely bury everything underground. And we are happy to do that. But it is something that, I mean, because think about this. If you don't have underground in front of your neighborhood, but somebody over there does, do you want to have to pay for that? Is that fair for you to pay for somebody else's service? Well, we have to treat folks fairly. If you want premium construction, like, you've got to pay for that. And again, whoever's willing to do that, we will 100% every time do that. But it's not fair to make other folks pay for somebody's service that's better than theirs. I guess that's kind of how we look at it, because those costs don't just magically disappear. That gets socialized amongst the entire, all of our customers. You know, that gets spread out over all of our customers. So we've got to be smart with how we spend that money. Well, we actually do have. Do we want to talk about rates? No, we don't talk about rates. We can. I mean, our rates are lower than the national average, and lower than the regional average, or lower than center points. I put our rates up against somebody in the area, but that's another conversation. Sir?
You're talking about their power lines being put up underneath the ground. You're saying it's going to cost people to do it. Well, they already putting the power lines down up underneath the ground, over down off the Tram Road and stuff. And who's paying for that? I mean, I don't see nobody out there willing to pay a whole lot of money, but them guys are out there taking their lines down, putting them up underneath the grounds already. So what's up with that? I mean,
No, they absolutely, again, guys, nothing gets done for free. Somebody is paying to put those lines underground. It could be, I'm not sure if it's the county in that case, if we're widening the road, somebody's paying for that. And that's because that is, you know, in some cases they have decided, yeah, there's a lot of trees nearby and it's going to be smarter to put it underground. So that's something, whatever they decide, whether something's going to be above ground or underground, somebody's got to pay for it, but then it's also got to make financial sense to do that as well.
Just a bit mud board that makes that decision.
Can you say that again? Sorry.
It's typically a mud district, a municipal utility district.
Like when they decide to widen the road, so it's going to be your mud.
You know, infrastructure in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, and so the trade-off is a higher mud tax for underground utilities.
Right. So it's, do you want higher taxes or? I don't know if everybody heard that. John, right?
Right.
Good to see you again, man. Yeah.
You too.
Sir.
You say to call in if you have outage.
Correct.
But is there no way that you know if the power's out at my house or not?
Well, depending on if you have the smart meter, and everybody has smart meters, it's eventually like when they stop communicating, because the way it works is your smart meter basically has a cell phone, not a cell phone, but it connects with like a cellular device kind of thing at the top of a pole. So when it stops communicating after a while, we would know that, but the question is how long does that take? So that's what I'm saying. The sooner you call them, the sooner we know right away, and we know to send the serviceman out there to figure out what's going on. So it's just a quicker how quick do you want the response to be? Ma'am.
Just a quick question.
Absolutely.
If you have limbs on the lines within your property, is that the responsibility of the homeowner, or is that responsibility, do we need to call energy about that?
Great question. So you're talking about, okay, so you've got the pole with the transformer, and then we call it the service drop. It comes from the transformer to your meter, and you're talking about in between the meter and the transformer. Okay, so that again is called your service drop. If there's something hanging over it, but it's not touching it, then we'll come and take that service drop down if you want to move it. Now, if it's actually touching the line and kind of pushing it out of snag, yes, we will come and take care of that. But if it's just like sitting there and you don't like that, then we will like take the line down for free and put it back up, absolutely, so that you can have somebody come and do that. But if it's actually touching it, we will do it. Just let us know. Yeah. And if you ever see like there's a dead tree that is definitely threatening the lines, call those in, same kind of thing, like, hey, I saw this dead tree, you guys might want to look at it. And our vegetation guys, we trim every inch of line at least once every 5 years at this point. So if you see something before we get back to it, absolutely let us know. We'll get out there. We want to get ahead of those issues.
That was partially my question I was going to ask about the lines that run along the side of the street. If the tree's hanging over them, we should call you and let you know if it's laying on them.
Oh, yes, ma'am, always. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Somebody, yes, sir.
Doesn't during a hurricane or after a hurricane or an emergency, don't they tack on a extra emergency plan? I mean, payment that you put in there that you have to pay extra money that you pay for since the hurricane happened and that you're paying the energy as an extra.
Stop me if I'm misunderstanding you. What I think he's talking about, if you look at your bill, and we've been trying to make our bills a little bit more clear because they weren't. But the idea is if you look, you've got different line items of like the different taxes and fees you've got. One of those is going to be like a storm restoration charge that we're talking about. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. So whenever you have Hurricane Hank comes through here, tears out a bunch of stuff, and we come through, we bring in our folks, and we get everything restored. Basically, we consolidate, we take all of those costs, and all right, Hurricane Hank costs this much, and we try and isolate all that. We take that and then we spread it out over people's bills. Usually it'll be over 10, 15 years, depending on how bad, because we don't want it to, like the sticker shock is real, we understand that. But yeah, that's essentially, you are paying for Hurricane Hank, specifically, so you know what that is, and that it's an isolated charge. Is that what you're talking about?
That's correct.
Yeah.
We're paying
for the restoration.
We're paying Energy extra money to fix our lines.
Right, well, I mean, because obviously when you bring in all those linemen and you got to order all that extra material, it's like, that is incremental. Yeah.
Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not getting down on you. I'm just asking a question.
No, that's exactly what, no, you're right. Yeah, that is 100% what it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, John.
Have you already addressed this with backfeeding? I just noticed within the last 3 weeks with all the power outages and usage, you had a lot of people on Facebook essentially bragging about backfeeding the grid for a generator, and I know that can create some really dangerous conditions.
Yeah, I mentioned that kind of quickly about the generators, but it definitely merits another mention. A lot of folks recently have gotten their generators, and by all means, that does not hurt our feelings. We understand it, but make sure that they install it correctly. That's what it comes down to, because it does. It can feed back to our lines, and again, just about every storm we have some kind of a near miss that's could be somebody's life, you know. And these a lot of times are guys that are traveling from across the country to help us get lights back on, and how horrible would that be? Okay, ma'am.
Just have one question.
I have one answer.
Good. And I hope it's the right one. I'm on a limited income, and I do the equalized billing. My light bill was $137, yet my light bill was $334.
Wait, say that again. So,
My light bill, my light usage was $137. My light bill was $334. When I called and asked Entergy about this, they said, you're on levelized billing. I said, I have been for the last 2 years, and my bill has never been $334. So I took upon myself Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. It comes out that your fuel charges are more than my lights. So where does that fuel go? I understand when the fuel was limited, we all jumped on that bandwagon. But Entergy, I feel, goes above and beyond when my fuel charge is more than my light bill.
this is a great educational moment. Okay, fuel charge. Whenever you see that, this is not fuel in cars, fuels in trucks. That is definitely not that fuel. A fuel charge is 100% the fuel that, remember we were talking about our power plants, and what is it? What is 70% of the power plants in Entergy's territory run on? Natural gas. That fuel charge is the natural gas that we use to power our power plants. That's all that is. When you see like the cars and stuff, that has nothing to do with it. So that fuel charge is, again, that is something that's regulated by the Public Utility Commission in Texas. It is 100% a pass-through. We do not make a red cent on any of that fuel. They go through our books. Every 6 months, like clockwork, every 6 months, we have to send all of our fuel costs to the Public Utility Commission in Texas. They look at it and say, okay, you should charge this much to every customer. And we say, well, we charge this much plus 3 cents. And so, okay, well, you got to refund it. So we refund it. So you'll notice every 6 months, your fuel charge may go up. You might get a rebate. You might get a fuel credit. Depends on what fuel cost those last 6 months. That's what a fuel charge is. So it depends what the cost of fuel has been the last 6 months. Now, if your levelized billing is looking weird and it doesn't look so levelized, then we can definitely talk about that. And and that's what the phone center is there for. If you want to ask them about it, and they can explain it. But for the fuel charge, that is something that is completely a pass-through. That's not like we're marking up what we charge, what we get.
I'll pass that on to my neighbors as well.
Okay. Good.
So the government's taxing you, which is taxing you in your sense, sending it down the line.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm kind of figuring?
What tax?
Well, like you said that the state commission regulates what you can charge, so that.
Well, they just make sure what fuel has cost and that we're charging folks what it costs. No, there's no tax put on the fuel.
Like, it's like a step down. It's like they set the regulation, you charge it, and then they kind of, then we have to pay for it, and it gets evened out, I guess.
Well, it's more like they're checking our books to make sure we're not overcharging or undercharging, but it's just that this is what it costs. And get out of here, man. I'm talking to people.
I think we're just getting a little off topic.
What? I'm having a good time here. Give me more questions. Or not. That's fine. Anything else? Any burning questions? I can hang out afterwards as well. Thanks, guys.
So now that minor Mexican food living problem has become a full-blown hurricane. Good. All right, so we're going to have to do this quick because we're starting to get kind of tight on time. So Mark, I want you to run. I know you haven't run in years, but I want you to run. Let's get these tickets.
Have you been watching this? I feel like Phil Donahue. Remember him?
We're going to start with another emergency crank radio.
Love those things.
Come on.
All right, here we go.
Would you?
679050.
9050. We got a winner. Come on up.
Thank you. I want Bob to look at this.
All right, next up, $25 gift card to Kroger, so you can get some water or whatever you want to get.
679-073.
679-073. All right, come on.
We got her on a roll.
Are you having fun yet?
Yeah.
Good.
I'm hungry.
All right, now we're going to do another one of these battery pack deals.
$679-020.
020.
Bingo.
We have a winner. Come on up.
Do it again, Hurricane Hank.
All right, Hurricane Hank's got another.
That's how nicknames get started.
This is a solar crank radio, flashlight, and power bank. So there's a lot going on here. How could it be solar crank? Does the sun come down and...
679-037.
9037. All right, come on. This way. All right, and one more battery pack. And after that, believe it or not, guys, we've still got a bunch of door prizes. We're not out yet. Yeah, I know. Isn't it complaining about being solar?
Nine, 679042.
9042, last one. All right. All right, next up, we have Kyle Simmons and Rowdy Hayden. They're going to come up and talk to us about swift water rescues. Being that you guys are going to hear this information, none of you will ever be involved in a swift water rescue because you're going to stay out of the deep water, you're going to stay home when these things are going on. These guys got some great stories. I think you're going to find their presentation to be pretty amazing. Come on up, Joe. Don't be afraid.
Thank y'all for having us. Kyle Simmons, Battalion Chief, East County Fire. I'm going to talk to y'all a little bit about what we do behind the scenes. I know y'all see us on boats and our high water vehicles out there pulling people out of their home and stuff. And what we realized years ago, I think it was a tax day floods. I don't remember what year it was. I think 15 or 16. We realized that we were deficient out on our side. How Millsap talked about, we're pretty far away from everybody. And, we like to be kind of strong. So we put together our own little area out here where we have resources built up out here so we could self-sustain, so to say. Not to say we don't get help from Conroe, but it's real easy for us to get cut off with all our rivers and creeks out here. So we have our own little EOC out here that Millsap talked about earlier. And in its infancy, it was just a couple of us with some handhelds and some legal pads trying to figure it out. And it's grown now to where we have multi-agency, we have Public Works, we have OEM out there, we've got Constable, Sheriff's Office, we've got school districts, we use their buses. It is a true team effort whenever anything like this happens. And it's nothing fancy. We just take a big room at, this year was at Porter Fire Station behind Home Depot. And it's just a bunch of people pulling together that have been trained in a specific field. And it's honestly a lot of paperwork, but it's a lot of coordination. And I know you hear a lot of jokes about fire and police arguing, but we're family, we work well together. You mess with one, you mess with all of us. And we truly come together in floods and stuff like that. And we couldn't do it without cooperation from all. And it's tough sometimes. People call in for a lot of stuff. People get uncomfortable. It happens a lot at night. And I believe that's what the constable is going to talk about here in just a second. But just a little bit on preparedness on the fire side. Let's make sure before we go into hurricane season that we have working carbon monoxide detectors. Speaking of generators, power goes out, pilot light might go out, gas may be free flowing. You make sure you have carbon monoxide check. You're not going to smell it, you're not going to hear it, and you're not going to taste it. All you're going to know is all of a sudden you're feeling sick, you may not even wake up at all. And if you don't have smoke detectors, call your local fire department. There's an initiative in Montgomery County where if you need a smoke detector, we'll provide them for you, and we'll come out and install them for you as well. At no cost at all. You just get to see us and our friendly faces. It's nothing but a phone call. And with that being said, the constable's going to talk about what we dispatch out of the EOC, which is the Swiftwater and our evacuation teams.
As usual, the fireman pretty much said it all before I even got up here. So Hank, he hates me. The guy with the good hair before me. But now, all kidding aside, Hank, thank you for putting this on. And being aware is the best thing we can do, and being prepared. Kyle talked about the EOC. Jason's in the back. He's in Conroe running the EOC. East County has an EOC running over here that's in communication with Jason and them in Conroe. It's a well-oiled machine. The calls come in, the calls go out to us. What the EOC kind of looks like is over here in East Montgomery County is we'll all have a representative. There'll be a representative from my office, the sheriff's office, the commissioner's office. Commissioner Gray will have somebody in there. The school district will usually have somebody in there. And we're able to handle anything that comes our way. If a road needs blocked, their representative's right there to make it happen quickly. If we need a school bus to transport evacuees to a shelter, we have that right at our fingertips. So I'm proud to say East County is working together well. It's a well-oiled machine. We've developed great working relationships. Talking about a hurricane coming, one thing I wanted to stress tonight is evacuation. Don't wait around to the last minute. Sometimes the evacuation process can be as dangerous as the actual storm itself. I believe it was Hurricane Rita maybe a few years back that came through, and it was last minute kind of evacuation, and 59 was gridlocked. We couldn't go anywhere. Even emergency vehicles, we were having to drive on the shoulders. We were getting flats. The gas stations were running out of gas. I worked a fatality, a death at a gas station, and people were walking over the body. In a time of crisis like that, people don't care. It's dangerous. So, when the weather meteorologists, they're good, especially during a hurricane. We know it's coming. We have plenty of time, so get out of there. Water rescue. If you flooded in the past, you're probably going to flood again. If you would leave when they tell you to leave, if people wouldn't drive through high water, we wouldn't have to water rescue anyone. The turnaround don't drown. It takes inches of flowing water to move your vehicle off the road. We saw that a lot last week or a couple weeks ago in Cleveland. We had to go up there multiple times. Also, the hidden dangers. But when you're driving through the water, you can't see that the road's washed out and you're going in it. All of those scenarios create dangerous situations for us, especially at night. I have a couple videos, because I have to follow up behind firemen, and so I have to have something in my favor. The Porter Fire Chief talked about your pets. He talked about having a kennel available for your pets. Your pets create a whole other hazard for us. I'm going to show you a couple videos where we're having to carry pets out. I'll show you one video where a rescue swimmer was actually bitten by a small dog that was actually a friendly household pet. I'll skip on until the video comes up. But, so here's a scenario. You see the elderly victim in the boat. This is his dog. He couldn't find his dog, and it was floating on some debris. Normally a nice dog, but it's scared. And you see right there, he bit the first responder. We were able to get the boat in position, and luckily the dog came on into the boat on his own. But had that person had a kennel, and the dog would have been kenneled, ready to go when we got there, we would have avoided all this. As you can see, this is nighttime, which creates a whole nother hazard for us. We got him in the best we could. Now the first video. Sorry for the delay, but the fireman's operating the computer. My oldest son's a fireman, and my other two are police officers. It's really interesting come Christmas time. Yeah. I'll continue to talk while we're waiting. A lot of people ask, how can I help? During Hurricane Harvey, it was a mass disaster. We didn't have enough resources. The Cajun Navy come over here and helped us, and they were a big help. I get calls a lot. Hey, I have a boat. I have a high water truck. How can we come help? Well, they need to call Jason Millsap. He can authorize that. I can't. Now, all kidding aside, if we don't know your level of certifications and you bring your bass boat out there, a lot of times you can cause more of a hazard for us. One incident we had recently was we were doing some patrols in the high water after we had rescued all the victims out. We went to a house that we took victims out earlier in the morning, and the front door was open. Well, we drive the boat up to the porch, and we see a bass boat come around from behind the house. Well, it was some guys, they were just driving around checking the area. We're in a boat, but we're still policemen, and they had some guns pointed at them because we assumed they were looters. So it just brings a whole different scenario for us trying to protect people's property and lives. Another thing I get is you would not believe during these storms how many people on Facebook, hey, we're stranded, we're on our roof, we've had on Facebook tell us they're on the roof. We've called 911 and nobody's coming to get us. We're not checking our Facebook. It's not comical, but 2 days later I'll be laying in bed checking my Facebook, seeing all these messages that people were sending me. You can see we got a lot going on, and checking Facebook's not one of them. When you call it in, A lot of times too, the water is so high, we can't see your mailbox. So give good descriptions of your house. It's a huge problem we face, not being able to see the addresses. One place where there's opportunity for huge help, and I see some of the groups in the audience tonight, H-Town Dream Center, the Taylors and On Point are all here tonight. On Point is still helping people from the last disaster. The recovery efforts after a disaster is huge and ongoing, and those people are the ones that need the help. They're handing out supplies. There's some groups are out doing muck outs for the house, tearing the sheetrock out. So that's a huge area. If you're wanting to help, if you're willing to help, after the storm, come back and help those groups. They need it financially as well as the volunteers. And that is about all I have. I got some cool videos. Any questions? Kyle can answer. Jason.
I just want to give you a shout out because before we had the flood event, your guys were helping our neighbors in Liberty County. On the entire day before we had an emergency here, they were already exhausted and it was our turn. They never stopped. So the fire guys and law enforcement were out a good 40 hours before it even became our problem, working, plucking people out of Liberty County out of their homes. So the Costco his team never get those thank yous, but thank you guys.
Thank you. It's fortunately, I've been in a long time, and some of my guys have, and we kind of know when the water comes up here, we know the next place it's going to be, so we're able to kind of focus our resources in that area. Yes, David?
Hey, would you please explain to the people that when they see the Taylors, that we're not gang members or nothing like that. We're out there to try to help people. And I've got slapped across the face several times, I'm trying to help people.
They're not gang members. They're a really nice gang of guys and ladies. Guys and gals that help. They help people in the community a lot.
Because we got a lady sitting right here, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about the guys. You got to worry about the ladies.
Right. They do a lot for our community. They're always out helping. I think people associate that because they wear a vest that has their name and their logo on it. But they're a great organization in the community that helps out a lot. On Points here at H-Town Dream Center.
Mission Northeast.
Mission Northeast. Yeah, I did see them here. Asking a good question. Give that to him for participation.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions or her? This one is. Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
All right, my question is, I'm a police officer with Lone Star College, and we had an issue on sorters at Royston. We put barricades on our side, and I called dispatch and said, we need help. So on the other side of the sorters coming down to where the college, those tennis courts are, and the high school is, I don't know whose property that is considered, Montgomery or Houston. So when we called, it took forever to get somebody out there, and it was hours and hours later that they got some kind of barricade. I don't know if it came from the school or what. And then later during the 44 hours I worked straight, they kept on trying to run over our barricades and finally some barricades on that end. So what do you suggest on that part there?
You know, short of parking a police car there, you can't stop people from going around the barricades unless you're there.
Yeah, we couldn't even get across up there.
And you know, driving in high water is it's a dangerous. I've been in law enforcement over 30 years. Water rescues is some of the dangerous things. People shoot at us. That's one of the most dangerous things we can do. Those houses, some of the videos will show, but when those rescuers are walking up to the houses helping people, a lot of those houses are energized. They still have power on them. It's just the boats we drive can come in contact with power lines. Many dangers out there.
Thanks.
I have a quick question. So we have 2 dogs, and you said to put them in crates in case there's flooding. Wouldn't they be drowning or anything? Could they stay in the crates? Because obviously they want to escape in water. So what do you suggest in that? So
We have a lot of training to keep you and your pet from drowning. We're not gonna put your pet in jeopardy. But animal, you see that the dog on the video was a nice dog, but the conditions he was surrounded, he was scared, and he acted different than normally. So your pet could do the same thing. One of the videos I have shows a police officer in the water with a German Shepherd on his shoulder. Luckily, it was friendly, and it didn't bite his ear off. But it's one of the biggest problems we encounter. Cats hate water, and they hate us, and they hate boats. We've had people put their cats in bags and backpacks, which is fine.
That last flood that was here, the county, we was out getting horses and rescuing the horses and putting them up over there to the county barn where they have the arena at. So we did a lot of kept up with a lot of the animals and stuff, but people was bringing up the food and stuff like that. So just to let y'all know, that's what we was doing, putting horses and dogs and cats. Trust me, I thought we had a good zoo going on there for a little while.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. I don't have any more coins to give you.
So you were talking about shutting off the power. At what point, I mean, that might be a dumb question, but at what point should that power be shut off?
I would suggest.
Because I live in Liberty County.
Yeah.
So when the gentleman was saying that you all help with evacuations, at what point are you supposed to shut off the power?
Me personally, if I know I live in a flood area, my house is probably going to flood, but when I evacuate, I would shut the power off. There's a lot of hazard, not only to us, but it's a fire hazard to your house. I know you probably have a freezer full of stuff, but it's all part of your pre-plan. You should pre-plan for that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you, Roddy.
My cats hate everybody. All right, guess what? What? We're going to give away some more stuff. I'm going to start with a $25 gift card to Academy, where you can go and buy, I don't know, 2 bullets. 679-044. 679-044. Takers? Anyone? 679-044. Right. All right. We're going to try it again.
Keep this coupon. 679056.
056. Wow.
A lot of people left.
Great tickets.
A lot of people left.
Maybe. I think the tickets are broken. Keep going, listen. Shotgun it.
Don't keep walking.
679027.
027. I know I got a winner now. All right. There we go. Thank you. All right. Crank up radio. This one isn't solar. It's emergency crank.
We love that.
Yeah. Ready? I'm ready.
Just pick it, I'll read it. But it's all you. All right, we got 679022.
022.
That's Hank. That's me. Give it to somebody else.
No, if you want it, you're going to get it.
I got a crank radio.
Huh?
I got one.
All right, fine. He's going to redonate it. What a guy. Go again. All right, we're going to go. Pick one out.
Thank you, though.
You're welcome.
Somebody has done this already. Volunteer.
I'm going to start keeping this stuff. This is good stuff.
679090.
90. John Sellers. All right.
I got it. It's his.
All right. Okay, we've got a $25 gift card, Home Depot.
$679-064.
064. Come on.
All right.
All right, two more. And those are the battery packs for cell phone chargers. I'm telling you, these are really cool. That's why I got so many of them.
$679-046.
046. All right, come on. All right, one more. Come on, Mark. Let's go.
$679-018.
018. All right, guys, our last speaker for the evening is with Buster Brown Propane. He's going to come talk to us about propane safety. And the reason why I added this, I've got a propane tank at home. When I lift the lid up on the thing, I really don't know what I'm looking at. And I know that during one of the floods, there's enough water got underneath it to where the darn thing tried to float away on it. So I thought it'd be good to talk about propane safety a little bit. I'm hoping Matt's still around. Matt, come on. There he is.
Nice beard.
I'll second that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, there's nothing quite like following, firemen, constables, the commissioner, emergency response operations. We just sell propane and propane accessories. So, thank God for having me. Really nobody really thinks about propane or propane tanks unless you've lost one. And like Hank was saying, and I don't have a whole lot to talk about, so we'll be done pretty quickly. I saw a meme on Facebook the other day that nobody in this area is afraid of hurricanes. They're afraid of being in the house without AC and 100 degrees and 100% humidity. And I think that pretty much sums up our area. So if you have a generator, man, more power to you. Okay, that's awesome, and I know there's been a lot of talk about generators and the exhaust and so on and so forth, and a lot of people have gasoline generators, some people have tri-fuel generators, some people have generators that run on natural gas, some just on propane. So if you have one that does run on propane, make sure that your propane tanks, your bottles are full, because that's a big thing. Also, make sure that they're up out of the water. If you have a big tank in your house that runs your generator, I suggest before the storm comes, you have that filled up. But here's the kicker. It doesn't matter how full it is. It will still float. We chased them down. We're still continuing to do so after this last flood. So make sure if you are in an area that floods and your tank is surrounded by water, prior to that, make sure that it's staked down or tied to a tree, something like that. So if it does lift up off the ground, it's not going to go very far. If you do know that your tank does float or has a tendency to do so, and you don't need it for your generator, I would suggest turning your tank off. So if it does lift up and break your line, you're not losing that precious gas. So those are just a few things that we've noticed, throughout the time. Also, if you do find that you need gas during or after the flooding that comes with the hurricane, try to call ahead. Just because you think we can get there doesn't mean we can, or your provider at the time. So just be mindful of that. So be prepared when it comes to propane. So any questions on that? There's not a whole lot to say. All right. Y'all have a good evening.
All right, cool, I got another power station. All right, so we're just gonna call these numbers out real quick and go. First one's for crank, ready? Yeah, this is another emergency crank. Emergency crank. Emergency crank. You can't crank it unless it's an emergency crank.
First number is 679011. All right, a little chargeable battery pack. And 679014. 014. All right. Do another battery pack real quick. 679058. All right.
How many cars did you get? There you go.
Kroger gift card, $25. I need to get you a pack of weenies from this We got those in the buckets, right? Beer and cigarettes.
That's the whole thing.
$25 Kroger gift card. 679052. Do another one of these little battery packs, complete with power cord. 679040. 040. What do you know about this Marlboro portable power supply?
Yeah, it's a portable power supply. It's the same thing as the other one, it's portable power stations. It's nice, it's wonderful, I like it, I wish I had one.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
679040.
You already called that.
679-063.
063.
You better read that one. He doesn't look like
Thank you. All right, and that's it for the door prizes, guys. So I want to talk about these hurricane kits just a little bit. There's a lot of good stuff in these kits. They're sealed, and it's a start for you guys. The most important thing I think that's in there is the list that was provided by the Hurricane Prediction Center, and it's a list of everything you should have in your hurricane preparedness kit. These kits are also for disaster preparedness, and it's unfortunate that we live in the type of environment where you even need something like this. But hey, we put together as many of these things as we could. We want you to take them, take a look at all the stuff that's inside, get used to what's in there, find a good safe place to keep your kit. And if one of these nasty storms comes through here, heed the warnings, take care of yourselves, take care of your family, plan ahead. Don't only have a plan A, but also have a plan B, because it's plan B that'll get you out of a pickle if you get into one. Guys, have a safe trip home. On your way out, stay Thanks for coming.